Next on Worcester News Tonight, local police departments reminding the public of designated internet exchange zones. Plus, Assumption College bringing in the holiday season with its annual Christmas tree lighting. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. We begin tonight with more sexual allegations coming to light. The most recent case coming from NBC News New York. The network firing longtime Today Show host Matt Lauer after a complaint about inappropriate sexual behavior. Our Cam Jandro now joins us live with more on the severity of these sexual harassment.
Yeah, and I caught up with a local attorney and someone from the YWCA to get their reaction on all of these recent sexual misconduct allegations. Shocking allegations of sexual misconduct lead NBC to fire Today Show host Matt Lauer. Lauer is one of numerous high-profile people to face allegations in recent weeks. One Worcester attorney says he isn't shocked to see more cases come to light.
Sexual harassment and sexual abuse in the workplace, unfortunately, have always been very common, but it's not until very recently that large numbers of people have felt comfortable coming forward.
Attorney Benjamin Rudolph has represented victims of sexual harassment. He says he hopes the recent cases help employers realize the severity of sexual misconduct.
All of this added attention is really going to get a lot of employers, large and small, to take sexual harassment much more seriously, to ensure that there's adequate training, to ensure that there is an appropriate person and multiple people, ideally, who are available to receive complaints of sexual harassment.
Worcester's YWCA aims to eliminate racism and create empowerment for women in the community. Associate Executive Director Robin Kennedy says she's been surprised in recent weeks, but not because of the increase in cases.
I think what we're seeing, and I think this is not necessarily that women are coming forward or that this is happening that's so shocking, but the fact that individuals are being held accountable is what's more shocking.
As many high-profile people now face the consequences of sexual harassment, Kennedy's hope is more women will come forward and share their stories.
Seeing women feel comfortable and feel able to come forward is definitely a positive sign. And we as a society need to continue, and as we're seeing happening now, we need to continue and more so believe and trust women when they share their stories.
Now, Kennedy says the YWCA or programs like Pathways for Change are available for anybody going through similar situations, and you should never be afraid to share your story. Anna?
Thanks for that, Cam. Members of the Worcester Islamic community speaking out tonight after President Donald Trump shares controversial tweets on his account. The tweets President Trump retweeted were originally posted by the deputy leader of the Britain First movement. The video showing Muslims committing acts of violence. Amjad Benassi is chairman of the Board of Trustees for the Islamic Society of Greater Worcester. He says he's shocked and surprised, not so much by the content, but by the timing.
Muslims today are celebrating the birthday of our beloved Prophet. I don't know if he timed it that way also or not. I just can't understand it.
According to the New York Times, at least one of the videos, however, did not show a Muslim migrant, as it claimed, but a teenage boy who was born in the Netherlands. This is according to Dutch authorities. Benassi says, in his opinion, it's best to just ignore the tweets. After two recent exchanges off of a buying and selling app ended in local armed robberies, police are reminding people there are designated safer areas to conduct business. Many police stations in central Massachusetts, including the Leicester Police Department, have a parking space set aside just outside the station for people making internet purchase exchanges. Chief Jim Hurley says in the past year they've had the sign. He's seen many people utilizing it. With the holiday season upon us, he says it's good time to remind people they're there.
Anyone who's doing a internet purchase where they have to deliver or pick up a purchase that they've made from an individual they don't know, they can come right here into the parking lot at the police station. There are 2 spots marked. They can pull right in there. It's within range of our video camera, and they can do the exchange on video in a much safer environment.
Chief Hurley says there are a number of police departments who also have designated areas to do internet exchanges, including Northborough and Spencer. Chief Hurley says you can always call your local department to find out if they have an area as well. A former Worcester police officer convicted of kicking a handcuffed and shackled prisoner is sentenced Wednesday. Michael Motyka received 2 years probation. He was also ordered to continue treatment for the PTSD he suffered from his time in the Army. Prosecutors say Motyka attacked the prisoner in 2014. He was a 17-year veteran of the Worcester Police Department. A gas leak in Upton forced evacuations in town earlier this evening. Emergency crews responded this afternoon to Hartford Avenue South near the railroad crossing. The fire department says crews were replacing crossings and an excavator, which was digging near the train tracks, accidentally hit a 2-inch natural gas line, causing it to leak. The road was shut down and several homes in the immediate area were evacuated. The fire department says it was a challenge finding the valve to shut off the gas, but Eversource was able to assist.
On shutting the line off because the rebuilding of the railroad crossing changed the location of the shutoff. So the gas company arrived on scene and finally located the line and pinched it off. They're making the repairs at this time.
No injuries were reported. Crews from 5 towns were there to assist. The gas has since been shut off and residents have been allowed back into their homes. Assumption College had its annual tree lighting tonight to ring in the holiday season.
3, 2, 1.
Beautiful. Members of the community, Assumption students, faculty, and staff gathered as members of music ministry joined Hound Sound and Voss in singing Christmas carols as the lights on the tree were lit up. College President Francesco Cesareo says this is one of his favorite events to attend.
To sort of come towards the end of our semester.
Worcester Festival of Lights will be this Friday, December 1st. State regulations governing the sale of recreational marijuana are expected to be released earlier next year, but the City of Worcester says they want to lay down some groundwork ahead of time. A City Council subcommittee is looking to limit the number of shops in the city and add a local tax on their sales. Our Brittany Schaefer has the latest.
A City Council committee endorses a plan to limit the number of recreational marijuana shops in Worcester and place a 3% local tax on sales.
We're in somewhat uncharted territory with the new recreational marijuana law that the voters passed. We want to monitor as closely as the law allows us to.
Under state law, the city can't limit the number of marijuana shops to less than 20% of the number of stores with alcohol licenses.
Law says you can't have more than the 20% number, and that's 15. So that's all I can recommend. I think 15 is too many, quite frankly, but I don't have the legal ability, the council doesn't have the legal ability to make it less than that. So that's the most restrictive that we can be based on current state law.
The city's Economic Development Committee is also proposing to have the highest tax possible on the city level at 3%, bringing the total tax rate on recreational marijuana to 20%.
If you want to come to Worcester, we're looking for the maximum allowable tax. I think that business is going to be a lucrative business, number one. So it'll add dollars to the city coffers. So if we go to the max, maybe it deters how many are here in the city.
Putting this additional tax on to pay for some of the additional services that might be demanded of it, I think is a good balance.
Councillor Tony Economou says these recommendations will be presented to the City Council within 2 weeks.
Well, I'm sure there'll be more input. But unfortunately, other than those 2 items, how many dispensaries and the percentage that we could tax, the rest of it is open to debate once the guidelines come down from the state.
Now, the city is also looking into ways of spreading out these recreational marijuana shops throughout the city and also to enhance public safety when these shops could open in July of 2018. Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
Firefighters from Westboro and surrounding communities battling a fire Wednesday at Not Your Average Joe's on Route 9. The 2-alarm fire broke out around 2:30 p.m. Wednesday. The fire department says workers and customers inside the business were evacuated immediately. One firefighter had to be treated for minor injuries. The fire department says it's unclear how the fire started, but it appears to have started in the back of the building.
The first chief officer on arrival found heavy fire in the rear of the building with some exploding pressurized cylinders. Immediately ordered a second alarm. Companies made an aggressive attack. Our own companies as well as our automatic aid companies with a couple of hand lines.
The cause of the fire is still under investigation. For more than a year, parishioners of Our Lady of Mount Carmel have been fighting to save the Worcester Church. Now the Mount Carmel Preservation Society is set to make another bid to have the church property become part of a local historic district. In October, the bishop announced the Vatican denied an appeal to request the reversal to close the church. The Mount Carmel Preservation Society is asking the Historical Commission to consider creating a study committee to look at the possibility of a historic district. It could be the church property and possibly the historic Mission Chapel on Summer Street and Union Station. Historic Stearns Tavern has been at its new home by Coes Pond for more than a year now, but still has a ways to go. Most of the renovations on the more than 200-year-old building are being done by volunteers, and they hope to open next spring. Our Rosalind Flaherty has the story.
New walls and a roof are being built at the Stearns Tavern Wednesday.
Kind of watching the old mesh in with the new.
Carpenters from New England Carpenters Training Fund volunteer their time restoring the building while getting hands-on learning experience.
It's been an amazing learning process. There's a lot of things here that we have to work around, so it gives us an opportunity to look at some real-life stuff.
Phil Nidry is the special projects coordinator for the city. He says the work going into the building is mostly from volunteers, with 83 firms and organizations donating their time.
It's a great thing. I mean, even the neighbors have loved it. Just watching it, they stop by all the time to see how things are going. People love the fact that it's going to be here.
The 205-year-old building moved to Coes Park last year. Once completed, the Seven Hills Foundation will operate the building and provide training. The carpenters say it's a great way to give back.
Giving back to the people who do stuff for you. At the end of the day, the community takes care of us, so we want to take care of the community.
John Orcutt grew up in Worcester and remembers the tavern when it was on Park Ave. He says the age of the building makes it more challenging to work on, but the hope is it will be ready to open in a couple months.
Time-wise and material-wise, because we know, everything's being volunteered, the time and the material and everything like that, so we're just trying to keep it the best we can.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester.